George Kane and I each have an interest in chess, and I want to share with you just a bit of my story. I came to chess early 1970s when the nation was galvanized by Bobby Fischer in his attempt to win the world's championship of chess. I got a chess membership. I began to play in tournaments, and I realized I'm never going to play for the world championship. I thought I could give something back to the game, though, and I realized that when we had weekend tournaments, there were tournament directors, and it seemed like something I could do. So I reached out and I found a mentor 75 miles away from my home, but he invited me to come over on a weekend and walk through a 4-round tournament with him. He held my hand 1 month. Next month, he turned me loose. I made a bunch of mistakes, but I had him available by telephone. We got through it, and I continued to find mentors who eventually got me to where I was an assistant tournament director for elementary school championships, high school championships, and junior high school championships on the national level. The thing that I love about chess is to improve, you have to play. To improve, you have to take a risk and ask somebody better than you to take a look at your game and point out where you might be able to do better, to offer you suggestions, basically to mentor you. And that ties nicely into what we do as Toastmasters.
My story with chess and Toastmasters also goes back to the 1970s. In 1972, of course, Bobby Fischer played Boris Spassky. It was the biggest news in the world at that time. And I was part of the cable television coverage of that match with Grandmaster Arthur Bisguier. After the match, chess became enormously popular in New York City. And I became a popular lecturer at many venues in the city. After one of my chess lectures, one of the people in the audience came up to me and asked, "Have you ever heard of Toastmasters?" Well, indeed, I have not. But I next heard of Toastmasters 20 years later when the company that I was working at started a Toastmasters club there. That was when I joined, and I realized that probably the reason that the person made that suggestion to me was because of the ahs and ums that proliferated my speech. I also, like Ed, think that there's a great tie-in between chess and Toastmasters, and that largely being in the mentoring experience. Now, chess players always have many mentors, although they wouldn't necessarily think of them that way because it's not a formal relationship. But when chess players get together, chess players don't just play 5-minute chess. They also look at stuff. They analyze. And it's always helpful to younger players to have stronger friends with whom they analyze. It's a great help for them. You can learn from them. Just being around and learning the skills they have can help one a lot. Same is true, I think, in public speaking.
Part of my attraction to chess is the interactions and the fun that one can have, meeting other people, exploring something that we love together, and learning from each other. Through the years, I've developed a love as a player with the black pieces, the person who moves second, for the French defense. Some people find that very stodgy. But I have to say, my favorite move in chess is checkmate. What do you think, George?
Developing an opening repertoire is really an important step in any player's development. That study of openings is part of how a player develops his self-identity. And I had a very strong self-identity back in the 70s. I was a queen pawn player. So I actually identified much more with Spassky in the World Championship match than I did with Fischer, although Fischer was starting to play English openings then too. Yes, I think that chess is enormously fun and that it does tie very strongly into the fun that I have now in Toastmasters.